Taxi strike is now over. Drivers are returning to ranks. People are getting onto taxis, getting to work, and hopefully the violence, the disruption, the protest associated with that strike also now calms down. Mandla Hermanus is the Western Cape chair of SANTACO. What were the terms that you agreed to last night after that meeting with the province and the city? Mandla, good morning.
Good morning to you and your listeners. Lester, we agreed to the key areas where we also believe a vehicle should be impounded as a starting point, like a vehicle that is not roadworthy, a vehicle being driven by a driver who doesn't have a driver's license, a vehicle that does not have an operating license. So at least we agree on those, and we have always maintained that we are not saying there should be no impoundment. There are instances where impoundments are warranted, but we just felt that everything now was resulting in an impoundment, even if we believe the offense is not as serious as to warrant such drastic actions. So now, in the next 14 days, we are going to go through those lists. What do we deem to be a serious infringement that could lead to impoundments of vehicles?
The city says impoundments under the NLTA continue for vehicles driving without an operating license, incorrect routes, without driver's license, unroadworthy vehicles. Of course, a task team set up to define a further list over the next 2 weeks about additional offences on which vehicles will be impounded. The city says this is the exact proposal that was tabled before SANTACO 8 days ago. Is that correct?
That's incorrect, and it's unfortunate. It's again an attempt to simply paint the taxi industry as the villains and people who cannot reason, and it's very unfortunate because if those were the terms, in fact, there would have never been a need even for a stayaway to begin with, because remember, when the task team was set up, we were about to embark on a stayaway. And we called off that stayaway on a promise that the task team would deal with these issues. At that stage, there were no concrete proposals to say this is what we will impound for and this is what we will not impound for. But we were able to call off the stayaway based on a promise that the task team would find resolutions. But we saw the opposite happening when we were busy talking in the task team. Everything and anything and any infringement was leading to the impoundment of vehicles. And it's only last night, where the impoundable offences were reduced to the 4 you have just mentioned. But that was only yesterday when that happened.
Mandla, 5 lives lost, millions of rands in damage, children going hungry because workers in the food supply industry haven't been able to get to work. People who rely on daily and weekly wages not been able to work, affecting their households. Has this 8-day strike been worth it? Noting the damage, the destruction, and of course the unfortunate loss of life over the last 8 days.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And it should never come to a point where the minibus taxi industry has to embark on a stayaway or a strike, whatever you call it. But all we have been asking for was to say the government of the Western Cape must at least recognize the role that we play, that we are an essential service, as it were, to the communities that we serve. And we want the government to work with us so that the service that we provide to the citizens of the province can be of the standard that the government requires. We are providing this service out of our own pockets. We are not subsidized. We invest our own monies to buy vehicles, to provide a service that the government should be providing to its citizens. But what happens is that when we provide that service, government sees us as profiteers, people who are simply concerned with profit, and they give us the harshest punishments for the most frivolous of infringements instead of assisting us so that we can up the game, provide a better service whilst doing that within the confines of the law.
Mandla, I can I completely appreciate that a strike or a stay away or a demonstration can see criminal elements impact on what you believe to have been a peaceful, law-abiding protest. I can appreciate that. But do you think you as taxi association leaders have done enough to plead with members, to plead with broader communities that we're engaged in your peaceful protest? And if you do believe you've done enough, why then have we seen millions of rands in damage, people hurt, people killed, communities unsafe? Do you think you've done enough to bring your call for calm from SANTACO's side?
We've done everything we could, but obviously there's always room for improvement. One of the things, because at one point we were saying, how about we call on all the associations, we send out our working committees to go, especially public facilities, to be there to ensure that no people come and damage schools, clinics, and other facilities in the name of the taxi industry. But again, another challenge there, whenever we do these patrols, the very same city of Cape Town, they are the first ones to say, we are not allowed to do that. When we do that, we are impersonating law officers. So we are not allowed to be on the roads patrolling because that is the work of law enforcement.
Mandla, in an earlier statement this week, the city says it won't hesitate to bring civil action against SANTACO, the organizers of the stay away, and what has largely led to the accompanied violence. There's precedent in this before with other protest demonstrations, marches in the city of Cape Town, where the city have told the organizers in that march and have got court orders to say you will be held civilly liable for any damage that has been caused. Are you willing to accept that if there is a civil case brought against SANTACO based on damage that is calculated over the last 8 days? Would you willing to defend that?
Absolutely, we will defend that because our call was very clear. We've never made a call to incite violence. We never called for shutdowns or anything like that. But we've done the opposite. We've called for calm. We've called for people to resist and desist from any act of criminal activity. And we have called on law enforcement to come hard on those who are found to be acting outside of the law. So anything like that comes to us, we will absolutely defend ourselves and we will challenge it. We will go to court.
Does your court action still continue? You had said you want to go to the High Court to get a declaratory order based on the city's bylaws with regards to impoundments. With this deal, this negotiation now reached, do you still go to court?
The next 14 days are critical because they will give us a guideline as to whether we continue or not with the court action.
Mandla Hermanus, SANTACO Western Cape Chairperson.